Does this building bring back a lot of memories for you?
Yes. Of course, I was a kid when I worked here, and my job was the dustiest, nastiest job in the plant.
With every step, Richard Cheatham remembers so many faces and sounds, way before the rust and weeds started to reclaim this old building near Denison, Texas.
We built boats. They were fast. They were the fastest boats on the water back then.
It was the 1950s, and Richard was one of more than 400 employees building what was then the fastest wooden boats on the water. They called them Yellow Jackets, America's choice for more fun afloat. At one time, there were 35 models distributed all across America, like the Cruzette, Fury, Beachcomber, Catalina, Riviera, Capri, and Monterey, all manufactured from molded mahogany in Denison, Texas.
Yellow Jacket Boat Company was founded in 1949 by Richard A. Mac McDerby. They made a few hundred the first year, and by 1957 they made 7,000 Yellow Jacket boats in 1957 alone.
Is it true that this Yellow Jacket boat was the fastest boat on the water?
Well, yes, it just flew across the water.
Even after so many years, you mention Yellow Jacket boats and it still draws a crowd. David Canali is the expert on all things Yellow Jacket.
I'm the past president of the Wooden Boat Association. I also started up this thing called the Yellow Jacket Mark Club.
And about 2 years ago, thanks to David, I found a Yellow Jacket boat.
Dennis is Richard Cheatham's son, and Dennis is actually restoring a Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket Boats was founded by a guy named Mac McDerby. And Mac, before he came here to Denison, actually worked for Higgins Boat Company in New Orleans. And the Higgins boat, of course, was most famous for the landing craft that were used in D-Day. And Mac was Andrew Jackson Higgins' private captain. Nobody else in boatland can claim that kind of a heritage.
Let me say two more words that became important to this boat, and you tell me about that. Roy Rogers?
The Roy Rogers Show, starring Roy Rogers, King of the Cowboys.
Now, Roy Rogers, of course, was the biggest thing going on television in the 50s. And Roy Rogers loved to race boats. And so he found out about Yellow Jacket boats, and he was racing Yellow Jacket boats in California. And so he became very interested and became first a spokesman, and then he became an investor and even a vice president of Yellow Jacket Boat Company.
He was really involved.
He was really involved. There's even a Roy Rogers show episode where Roy is in boots and spurs, driving a Yellow Jacket boat, chasing bad guys.
Wherever he went, he would promote Yellow Jacket boats. Roy Rogers could draw a crowd, and Yellow Jackets always draw a lot of attention, so that was a match made in heaven.
We put a boat together for him to demonstrate. And I had never rigged the steering on a boat before. And turns out I had rigged the steering where if you turn right, the boat would go left. And he was used to fast boats, so he hooked his arm over the side of the boat and in preparation for a right turn. And he was leaning that way, and it turned left and nearly dumped him in the water.
Roy Rogers nearly got thrown out because you reversed the cabling.
Right.
McDerby lived across the street from us, and we were always joking with him about, I want the Yellow Jacket boat.
With David's help, longtime Denison hardware dealer Chuck Poole finally got his Yellow Jacket boat. But his pride and joy now sits proudly inside the store.
The boat sits right in the middle of his hardware store where he could have, cans of paint to sell or paintbrushes to sell or hammers and nails or something, but he chooses to display his boat there because that's an important part of his history. And he also says that it says something about the quality of his lumber and the quality of his operation there.
We did this to share with people, and we had people come every day in here and look at this.
My family, the first boat we had was in 1958, and it was a Yellow Jacket.
So you've got another Yellow Jacket boat in here?
Yes, it's a little more restored over here.
Okay.
Ron Vest is a collector's collector. He has cars, and he has motorcycles, and he has boats, and he has all these wonderful things that he collects. And because he is a son of Denison, are some Yellow Jacket boats.
This one's restored, but it's not 100% original.
Right now, today, I know there are Yellow Jackets gathering dust, sitting in barns, sitting in sheds, sitting in under tarps out back somewhere, and they are there waiting to be discovered and waiting to be restored.
You can pull that plastic if you want. What do you think?
Looks nice.
Yeah, I think so too. 2 years ago, I found this boat from a car dealer in Addison. I said, Dad, I know you worked at the plant, and I know we've restored a couple of boats together, but I just don't think the story would be complete until we do a Yellow Jacket.
Dennis and his dad are now about 2 years deep in bringing back a 58 model Yellow Jacket Riviera, taking up most of the space in their very patient and generous neighbor's garage.
When he first brought it here, what did it look like?
Pitiful.
Did you ever think it would look like this?
No.
So are you going to be glad to get your garage back?
Yes and no.
You could get your garage back.
It can have a little space here for a while until he moves it somewhere else. For right now.
Until the next one.
Just to the water line.
Maybe not.
I think about all the stories that this boat could tell, and all the people that learned to ski or learned to swim or caught their first fish or just went for their first boat ride. I think wood has a personality unlike other boat materials, and I think it has a soul.
As David Canali, Richard Cheatham, and Kay Perry look on, Dennis puts the finishing touches on an artifact of his father's past. When it warms up and the conditions are just right, you can bet the Cheathams will once again skim across the surface of Lake Texoma in a Yellow Jacket boat, like so many times, so long ago. A moment they've waited decades to recapture.
You're sanding away the years of dust and corrosion and all of these things that have sort of hidden it for a while. Then that history comes alive, and it can become a passion, and it's still a very relevant part of our lives.